Do you think a majority of people want signs on their homes when it's for sale? Most people do. If they really want to sell their house, they don't care if you put a sign on it. But if you take for granted everybody wants to have a sign and people who don't want to have a sign, well, there's something wrong with them, that's a problem. Because some people don't want to have a sign. Not everybody wants to have an open house. Not everybody wants their house on the internet. Okay? They don't. So does that mean that you're going to compromise what's going to work for them? No, it just means you have to have a further conversation. And how do you have a better conversation?
Ask better questions.
Ask more questions. That's right. You know? Part of our service is we use a for sale sign. Do you have any problem with that? No, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Okay, let's talk about that. Maybe you don't want to talk about that right away, but it's something that you can visit later on. So, very important, before you ask a question, and here's the thing. I don't expect you to do this in a material form all the time. After a while, your mind will start working in such a way where you'll say, is this a good question to ask? You know where I get caught up asking bad questions? I don't get caught up asking bad questions in business anymore because I've pretty much experienced a lot of things and I know what to say and what not to say. I mean, I could, but I usually don't. Family. Like the other day, my daughter asked me if her calves were getting more shapelier because she was working out. And I actually thought she wanted me to answer her, and I did. And it was like, no matter what I said, it was bad. But the funny thing is that when you know you're saying something bad, you can actually see the words coming out of your mouth, you know, kind of like a comic strip, and you want to pull them back, but you can't. I don't know why I'm saying this, but my mouth is continuing to say it, and I want to stop, but my mind just won't allow it, so I have to go into Stupidville and get everything that's going to befall me after that. There was a lot of, Dad, how could you say that?
I think the art of asking questions is very important, because if you want to get what you want from a person, it's not what you're going to say, but how you're going to bring this story across. And I think that's very important.
I think it's even going one step further. I think it's not getting what you want, I think it's getting what you need. Because you need to be successful in order to make money. The only degree of your success in real estate is if you close or list property. That's it. There's no participation medals here. I mean, we may put you up a couple of times on our Facebook page, you know, to make you feel good, but the simple fact of the matter is, if the pocket doesn't get any bigger or the bank account doesn't swell, you're not making money, and if you're not making money, you're not happy and you're not being successful. Unfortunately, sales is what have you done for me lately? That's the business you're in. That's what you chose. Okay? But it's okay. It's fine, as long as you understand it. But my question is, do you understand it? Okay, do you truly understand it? And if you do understand it, then are you going to make your actions go in line with what your goals are in order for you to achieve what you need to achieve and not have to go to the other side of the coin where you're all depressed and sad because you should have done what you should have done, you couldn't do it. See, in real estate is very unkind because it will not let you make up time. You can't catch up on real estate. Real estate will bury you because it takes time for things to close. It takes time for things to progress. So every day that you don't do your job, which is why, by the way, I gave you this, right? If you notice this says be here now, all right? Anytime you're not doing your job, just go like this, right? It should snap you back into state. That's what these things are for. You'll get them in bold. You'll get them from me because I think they're important, because I know that sometimes we tend to drift. I know sometimes life gets in the way. But if you have a schedule and you follow a schedule, that could be a good thing. And again, I spoke to you all in questions. Okay? So, in certain situations, for example, if you are conducting a presentation, it requires that vast amounts of information. It may be necessary to ask a large number of questions. In such cases, it is usually a good idea to inform the respondent of this before you start, by giving them some background information and reasoning behind your motive for asking the questions. By doing this, the respondent becomes more open to the questions and why it is acceptable for you to be asking them. When I gave you the example of me walking into the home, I said, I'm going to be asking you a series, I want to know what it is you liked about this house. And if you don't mind, I'm going to write it down. If they just see me writing it down without me telling them, what may they think?
You're not paying attention.
I may not be paying attention. But by me telling them what I need to tell them, then they know what's coming next. And if they know what's coming next, they're not gonna give any problem with it. You get a co-op buyer, okay? You get a co-op buyer, you're gonna have to ask them a lot of financial information. If they don't know what's coming, they're gonna be very guarded, right? What's the biggest theft today? Identity theft. They don't know what you're gonna do with this information. You're gonna have to ask them a lot of questions because they're gonna have to go in front of a board. And the board is gonna have to approve them based on their financial wherewithal. If they can't do that, they're not gonna get the apartment. So you're really doing them a service by asking them these questions, but what you didn't do is you didn't seed the field before you did it, so now they think you're just being intrusive. But if you only made a brief statement and then tied it down, it would be fine. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I understand that buying any kind of property sometimes can take a mental toll on people. I just want you to understand, I have to ask you a lot of financial questions. And the reason why is you're gonna come under this kind of scrutiny when you go in front of a board. So I don't wanna show you anything that you may get turned down on. So what I need is I am going to have to ask you for your tax returns. I'm going to ask you how much money you make. I'm going to ask you if any of that money is on any kind of compensation other than your base salary. If you're talking to a police officer, is it overtime? If you're talking to someone in the market, do they get bonuses? You're going to have to know all that. How long they've been at their job. Can they get references? Do they know their HR department? You know, are they in good standing? What is their FICO score? Where is their money? Some people might find that a little bit intrusive, right? They don't if you tell them you're doing it for their own good. So sometimes we have to let people know that we're going to ask a lot of information
That's true, yeah.
in order to help them as best we can. Because if you just come out firing, where were you on the night of the 12th? What did you do and how you did it? Blah, 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 then you're interrogating them. And they don't want that. They want to be spoken to. And here's the great thing. Good question askers, is that great English? I don't know.
It's fine.
People who ask good questions, okay? You don't even know they're asking questions. You don't feel it. They're able to put it in to the vocabulary